Arguably the most notorious FBI agent turned Russian spy found dead in his cell in a Colorado prison. Shannon Sharpe's contract is bought out as he leaves Undisputed under, let's say, questionable circumstances. And YouTube reverses their 2020 election misinformation policy without any real explanation. I have my thoughts, and we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Hyde. This is Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel here at Hide and Seek Media, what I'm trying to do is bring you a blue-collar, common sense perspective on politics, culture, and sports. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video here on YouTube and Rumble. So, like I said, YouTube has flip-flopped on their policy on the 2020 election misinformation that was being censored on their platform. So, as many of you know who watch videos here on YouTube and who maybe even make videos here on YouTube, I think it was after January 20th, you were not allowed to put up any more content that questioned the results of the 2020 presidential election. Anything that was put up that questioned the results was going to be taken down, and you could possibly get a strike as well. I believe I got both of my strikes for 2020 election misinformation. I'm not 100% sure. I know one of them for sure was. And then I think a second one was, it may have been for COVID misinformation or something like that. But we all remember 2020, 2021, the censorship was heavy on YouTube. And then they started to relax a little bit in 2022 on COVID stuff. And now, 2023, we see they're relaxing on the election misinformation censorship. But they never really gave an explanation as to why. I have my thoughts. I think and let me just run it down for you real quick. I think that the reason why they're doing this is because there's a good possibility that Donald Trump wins in 2024, and they win using Democratic tactics. And so they can't turn around and say that was free and fair when they know damn good and well they were cheating, right? Now, I'm not going to say how they were cheating or what they did to cheat. We all just know that there was irregularities in the election. And so if those same irregularities happen on the other side of the coin, they want to be able to call it out, so that they can point the finger and say you cheated, even though it's the exact same things they normally do. Now, I don't need to tell you who they is in all of this conversation, right? So I found a story from timcast.com that kind of breaks down what the YouTube policy was and why it was reversed. So it says YouTube reverses policy will allow users to question election results. YouTube has reversed its policy that prohibited people from questioning or denying the results of the 2020 election. In a blog post announcing the change to the election's misinformation policy, the platform said it will be providing a home for open discussion and debate during the ongoing election season. When we craft our policies, we always keep two goals in mind: protecting our community and providing a home for open discussion and debate, the announcement said. These goals are sometimes in tension with each other, and there is perhaps no area where striking a balance is more complex than political speech. The ability to openly debate political ideas, even those that are controversial or based on disproven assumptions, is core to a functioning democratic society, especially in the midst of an election season. Now, I want to pause right there because they didn't have this view in 2021. They didn't have this view about open and honest debate on political ideas while they were forcing vaccines on people, while they were quieting down the voices of people who were questioning whether alternative treatments were a better route. However you question the 2020 election, after a certain date, your voice was completely silenced. I know because I've had 3 videos taken down based on the 2020 election. One of them, luckily, I appealed recently after this policy was changed and put it back up. The other 2, I'm still debating on whether I'm going to appeal those. But I did get one video put back up because of this reversal. So there is a positive coming out of this, but the negative outweighs the positive in my mind, because what this is actually doing is just setting the stage to allow everybody to deny the next president, when we weren't allowed to deny Joe Biden as a president or how he got to be president. But coming up, whoever wins is definitely going to get, hundreds, if not thousands of videos put up on YouTube about how they stole the election or they cheated to get there, no matter what side wins. And so part of me believes there is a more nefarious underlining reason for doing this. All right, but let's get back to the rest of this article and see what Tim Cast has to say. YouTube said that over the past 2 years, there have been tens of thousands of video removals for denying the results of the 2020 election. Read that again. There have been tens of thousands of video removals for denying the results of the 2020 election. Okay, so let me just break that down for you guys just for a second here, okay? Tens of thousands of videos. Now, there are hundreds of thousands or millions of YouTube creators, right? But there are hundreds of millions of people in this country. And there were 74 million people who voted for one specific candidate, right? And a lot of them questioned the results. So for tens of thousands of videos to be put up on one platform questioning the results of 2020, that should lean more towards we ought to look into this instead of shutting everybody up, right? When 1 or 2 people cry about it, or 100 people cry about it, 1,000 people cry about it, yes, you can validate your argument to say, we don't need to listen to that. Tens of thousands of video removals, hello, cling, that should have sent off warning signals way before the beginning of this election cycle, right? You should have said, maybe we ought to look into this. Maybe we ought to tell the public that we've removed this many videos so that they can judge for themselves. Hey, if there's that many people complaining about this, maybe we ought to look into it. Maybe we ought to hear this case, right? Maybe one or 2 of the cases that were brought before courts during the 2020 election challenge, maybe one of those cases would have gotten heard and the evidence would have been shown in court instead of being thrown out on, not on the merits, but, on procedural problems like, you can't file that in this district, or you're too late to file your complaint or file your case. Maybe if one of these judges would have heard that there was tens of thousands of video removals about this, then maybe would have said, hey, maybe we ought to look into this a little bit. That's just my opinion, right? Quote, in the current environment, we find that while removing this content does curb some misinformation, it could also have the unintended effect of curtailing political speech without meaningfully reducing the risk of violence or other real-world harm, YouTube said. With that in mind, and with the 2024 campaigns well underway, we will stop removing content that advances false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 and other past U.S. elections. When people search for the news and information about elections, YouTube says it will still highlight content from authoritative sources, prominently in search and recommendations. For example, following the 2020 election, we found that videos from authoritative sources like news outlets represented the most viewed and most recommended election videos on YouTube. That's because those are the ones you guys pushed in the algorithm. And our 2020 election information panels with relevant context from voting locations to live election results were collectively shown over 4.5 billion times. The changes went into effect on the day of announcement, Friday, June 2nd. And like I said, I've had at least one video already put back up on YouTube because of this reversal. So while I'm happy that my content is back up on the platform and people are allowed to go watch it, now mind you, it's here, let me pull it up here to see if I got it pulled up. Get my channel pulled up here. Sorry, my computer is a little slow. You have to bear with me. I'm working on that. Working on some upgrades right now, but for the time being, I have to use what I got, right? And what I got ain't the greatest. As you can see, come on, you piece of crap. All right. Here's my videos. This is taking forever. I apologize. Here we go. All right, where is this video? It's way down here. It was one of my first videos, and like I said, I've had 3 videos about the 2020 election taken down for misinformation. Now, 2 of them were more about Mike Lindell and what he was supposedly bringing to the table as proof. And I looked over it, and I thought there might be something there, but ultimately it didn't pan out. Now I got to scroll down here because it's quite a ways down. So we're still working on this. But anyways, it's I'm trying to think of the name. Dominion sues Mike Lindell over something. I can't remember the title exactly. I'm trying to get to it relatively quick here. But so there's a Cyber Ninjas. This stupid computer. I tell you. All right. We'll give it some time to load here. And anyways, I want to say it's Dominion sues Mike Lindell for something. You can find the video down there, and I will link it in the description or here in a little bit. But this is going so terribly right now. Let's see here. Down. See, I still can't get to it. Accountability, Como, Looney. Where is it? Yeah, it's below these. Special election Biden. At 201. I'll know it when I see the thumbnail. There it is. Right here. Dominion sues Lindell over absolute proof. And then, yeah, shocking revelations from Time about shadow conspiracy, right? So basically, in that video, I talk about, I apologize for taking that long, but in that video, I talk about Mike Lindell's lawsuit from Dominion, which I don't think has been settled yet to this day. Now, Dominion did settle with Fox News for $787 million, and then turned around and came out and said that they're going to go, they could possibly go bankrupt, or they're going to go under because nobody's going to use them anymore. Which is a load of crap, because all I have to do is change their name and come back in as another company. And, oh, look, this is a whole brand new company that's got the same kind of election technology that Dominion had. It's the same thing they did with Sequoia voting systems and Diebold and a number of other voting companies that were scooped up by Smartmatic and a couple of other companies, and then broken back apart because the government made them break them apart. And you can find all of that in content that I have up on Locals, which is exclusive content only for my locals community. So if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube or Rumble and you want to, get more content and have access to me directly, head on over to locals and become a member. Once that community grows to a certain size, I'm trying to get at least 100 members. When I get there, I will start hosting Friday morning discussion podcasts where I will have 2 members come on the show, via Zoom or StreamYard or whatever, and we will discuss the topics of the week. And that way, I'm getting feedback directly from my members and my, audience, and you get a say on the show and actually get to be featured on the show as a fan and as a member. So if you want to become a member of the community and you want to help support the work I'm doing, head on over to locals and become a member. But excuse me. Let's jump into this next story here that I got. I want to know if you guys know who Robert Hansen is, right? So again, we have to apologize my computer here. While I'm live streaming, this computer is not built for this. But do you know who Robert Hansen is? Ex-FBI agent turned Russian spy, was found dead in his jail cell in Colorado. Now, Robert Hansen was an FBI agent in the 80s who turned on the government and on his country, and for 10 years sold secrets to the Russian government for, money and diamonds. This guy sold out undercover agents, double agents, and got people killed. I mean, when you want to talk about traitors, okay, this guy was a traitor. The traitor of all I won't say traitor of all traitors, but this guy, he got Americans killed, he got double agents killed, people who were Russians who were inside the government, who were working for the United States. He turned on them. One of them was executed, and it was videotaped and broadcast. Right? This guy did some nasty crap, all because he wanted to be James Bond, according to interviews done with some of the people that were close to him at the time. So I found this story here from the Daily Wire. So Robert Hansen, ex-FBI agent turned Russian spy, found dead in his jail cell. Robert Hansen, a former FBI agent who turned into a spy for Russia and did significant damage to U.S. national security, was found dead in his prison cell on Monday. He was 79 years old. On Monday, June 5th, 2023, at approximately 6:55 a.m., inmate Robert Hansen was found unresponsive at the Federal Correctional Complex, specifically the ADX in Florence, Colorado, the Department of Prisons said in a statement. Responding staff immediately initiated life-saving measures. Staff requested emergency medical services and life-saving efforts continued. The inmate was subsequently pronounced dead by outside emergency medical personnel. Hansen was arrested in 2001 and charged with spying for Russia and the former Soviet Union using the alias Ramon Garcia. He earned nearly $1.5 million in cash, diamonds, and bank funds for his treasonous actions. He started spying for Russia in 1985, and the information that he transferred to them using dead drops compromised numerous human sources, counterintelligence techniques, investigations, dozens of classified U.S. government documents, and technical operations of extraordinary importance and value, according to the FBI. Now, I watched some videos about this guy and doing my research here, and some of the stuff this guy gave up was like really significant and really important to our fight in the Cold War, and probably set us back, in that fight early on. But we ended up winning and breaking apart the Soviet Union, but he was still, after that, still selling secrets to Russia. And who knows exactly what all this guy was able to give over the 10 years that he was a spy. So they go on to say the U.S. government eventually caught Hansen when they secured a Russian document that appeared to identify him as their source. An extensive subsequent investigation caught him red-handed giving classified materials to Russians. And a side note, when he was arrested, he said to the FBI agents that were putting cuffs on him, "What took you guys so long?" I mean, how arrogant is that, right? I was doing this right under your nose and you guys are asking me, who could it be? Who could it be? And it was me the whole time. You stupid, stupid people. What took you so long? Why did you not see what I was doing? He pled guilty to 15 counts of espionage and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He served his time at the Supermax prison in Colorado, which is considered to be the most secure prison in the world. A betrayal of trust by an FBI agent who is not only sworn to enforce the law, but specifically to help protect our nation's security is particularly abhorrent. Then FBI Director Louis J. Freeh said at the time, "This kind of criminal conduct represents the most traitorous action imaginable against a country governed by the rule of law." Now, the FBI director went to church with this guy. They were both part of Opus Dei, which is a very devout Catholic group that really follows the strict guidance of the Catholic teachings, right? And so, like, the director of the FBI and this guy went to the same church, part of the same Opus Dei, group. What do you think these guys were talking about at barbecues and stuff when they were hanging out? And all the while, he was selling that information to the Russians. When he sold out the double agent, the Russian person who was in the Russian government who was working for the United States, right? Who was our spy within the government. When he sold that person out, they executed this guy gruesomely, filmed it, broadcast it, and paid him $30,000 for that information. All right? That $30,000 for that man's life. And this was early in his spying days. And he still did it. He still did it. And did it again and again and again. So when we hear the news that he passed away in his cell, it's unfortunate that somebody didn't get to his ass earlier. But it's hard to get to somebody who's in 23-hour confinement, right? Solitary confinement, and only gets an hour a day to go do something. So it would have been nice to hear that somebody had taken him out, done the patriotic thing. But, yeah, dying of whatever causes he died of in prison, at least he died in prison. That's where that guy deserved to die after what he did to those people. And, when I think about that kind of stuff, it brings me back to whenever I was growing up in the 80s and, and hearing about the Cold War and watching it end, with the Berlin Wall coming down. And those of you guys who have followed me on this channel and know my story a little bit, that kind of holds a special place, in my mind, in my memories, in my heart, because I lived in West Germany. Right? I remember when the country was split, and so I understand what that meant to those people in that country, because I heard it for years from people that lived there, that why it was so bad and what it had done to families. And there were some families who hadn't seen each other in 30 years, right? The gates closed on that wall and you weren't allowed out. That was it. If anyone was on the other side, too bad. You weren't allowed to see them unless you got special permission from the government. And good luck getting that. And so hearing that, that's why, all of that kind of the fight against communism kind of stands out in my mind and in my memories a little bit more than maybe the regular everyday American, right? Because I was there. I wasn't there when it came down, but I experienced what that country had to go through, having lived there. And so I kind of get it a little bit, right? I can empathize with those people and understand how they feel and why they feel the way they do about communism. And so, to me, that sticks. That just it when I hear about a spy for Russia, right, or for the Soviet Union, it kind of just stings me a little harder than it does anything else, right? Like, okay, like what's his name, the Bengal or whatever, the guy that ran away from his unit or whatever in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's terrible. That guy should have burned in jail. That's you. But at the same time, it doesn't hit as hard as spying for Russia or China, right? Like those kind of spies, that like really gets to me when it deals with communist countries and stuff like that. And of course, Russia right now technically isn't a communist country or whatever, but come on, let's not fool ourselves. Putin wants it to be the Soviet Union all over again. It's part of what this invasion in Ukraine's about. But I want to get off of that because I'm on a tangent here, and let me just jump into the next story I have here. I want to talk about sports for a minute because what I do here on this show is bring you guys, commentary on politics, culture, and sports. I would like to start another show where I actually have a co-host and we debate these topics, like First Take and Undisputed. I was a huge fan of First Take when it first came out. I watched it for years with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. And when Skip Bayless left, I still watch some First Take, not as much as I used to. But when he went to Fox Sports and started Undisputed with Shannon Sharpe, I was like, yo, this. I liked Undisputed more than I liked First Take. Because I like Shannon Sharpe. His knowledge of the game when it came to football was great. I mean, his commentary, his thoughtful insights on the game were awesome. I loved it. The LeBron love, I'm not that guy, right? I think Jordan is the GOAT, not LeBron, but I think LeBron's a great player, and I will give him some of his arguments, right? But what Shannon brought to that show was a sense of authenticity, right? That you don't get from Skip, right? You can just tell Skip is saying stuff just to rile people up. A lot of times he'll say something he doesn't really truly believe because he'll come off of it a couple weeks later. And he'll find a way to skirt around it, or no, I didn't mean it like that, or I didn't say that, and baloney, right? Like what he always says. So I wanted to bring up this story that I found from the New York Post, and there's a bunch of other places that wrote about it too. But what the New York Post headline kind of stuck out to me a little bit, and this is why I wanted to use this article, and because I trust the New York Post to an extent when it comes to mainstream publications outside of like the Daily Wire, Timcast, Post Millennial. I can kind of get behind the New York Post a little bit. But the title said, Shannon Sharpe says, stay tuned as Undisputed breakup looms. Now, his contract has been bought out, and he's going to stay on the show until the end of the NBA Finals. And then it's off to do Club Shay Shay 100%, like full time. Now, if any of you guys haven't watched any episodes from Club Shay Shay, I recommend you go and subscribe to that channel because Homeboy's got some great interviews. And it's not just, all key in and all that crap. He asks some serious questions. He gets into some deep topics with these people, and he's able to get some of these athletes and other people to open up in a way that other people just may not be able to, right? Because he can reach them on a personal level. And so I really enjoy watching Club Shay Shay, even more so than I enjoy watching him on Undisputed. Now, I will admit that I have gone at Shannon Sharpe for some of his opinions, some of his critiques, some of his, points on topics. I don't always agree with him, but I respect him. I respect the fact that The man put together a Hall of Fame career being a 7th round draft pick out of Savannah State. Worked his way to the Hall of Fame, 3-time Super Bowl champion with 2 different teams. Played with Hall of Famers his whole career. Some would say helped make some of those people Hall of Famers. I'm just saying. So when it came out that Shannon Sharpe was going to be leaving Undisputed, I can't say that it was a shock. I was surprised it was happening this fast. I thought maybe they'd wait till, he was going to push through a few more months, maybe see if it could iron out these differences they had with Skip Bayless. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So the New York Post goes on to say, Shannon Sharpe returned to Twitter Saturday night, posting for the first time since the Post Ryan Glassspiegel, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, first reported Wednesday that the Hall of Fame tight end is leaving FS1's Undisputed. Stay tuned for the seeds I'm planting, the 3-time Super Bowl champion tweeted, along with several behind-the-scenes photos of crew members filming Sharpe in a gardening getup. Freaking ads and stuff, I hate it. While Saturday's tweet was the first since the news broke, Sharpe has liked several tweets that have been critical of Bayless over the last few days. Sharpe, 54, and Fox Sports reached a buyout agreement that will see him end his undisputed partnership with Skip Bayless after the conclusion of the 2023 NBA Finals. Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast will also be leaving Fox Sports. The breakup may not be a surprise to many people. To too many people. I'm trying to get all of this back up here. I'm sorry. Come on. Sorry if I missed any of your chat. Doesn't look like I have, but feel free to chat in there if you're watching. I haven't looked to see how many streamers we've got, but no, that's true, though, what they said. Some people kind of saw this coming. There was the blow up that Skip and Shannon had when Skip called Shannon jealous of Tom Brady. I mean, and rightfully so. Shannon had every right to be mad about that because there's no way Shannon Sharpe is jealous of Tom Brady. Shannon Sharpe is content with his NFL career. 3-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer. He played with 2 great teams. He played on a historically great team when he played with the 2001 Ravens. Come on. How Skip could ever have thought that was a take that was worth saying live on TV was just apparent disrespect in my mind. And Shannon took it that way too. That how dare Skip Bayless, as great as he is in the debate shows and when he was a reporter and all that, how dare you say I'm jealous of Tom Brady because I'm critical of the way that man is playing the game because he's not playing to the level he should be or used to play at. But you like to, and he goes into arguing with Skip about all that. But that sign of disrespect right there was it. That's when the split happened. And Shannon was done with being disrespected by Skip Bayless on TV. And he wasn't going to have it no more. And then the DeMar Hamlin tweet comes out. And in protest, Shannon doesn't show up to work. Now, that to me was kind of, you should have showed up, Shannon. I will say it, you should have showed up. Even though you didn't like what he was saying, even though you may not have agreed with everything that Skip tweeted out about the situation, you still should have showed up to work. You could have just avoided talking about the tweet. But eventually it got brought up. Skip says he's not going to apologize for it. He's not going to take it down. He stands behind it. And at that point, I think you could see the contention between the two. And Shannon was done. And I think he was just trying to find the right way to get out. Now he's found it. And I think part of it is Skip Bayless may be a little bit jealous of Shannon Sharpe, right? So, like, Shannon Sharpe was pretty good on CBS when he was on there, but it, kind of didn't. I don't know. I didn't like it in that group setting, right? I'm not a real big fan of those group or pregame shows or whatever. I like the one-on-one debate, or maybe two, 3 or 4 people, maybe. Well, not 4 people. That's maybe 3 people. But the one-on-one debate shows are what I like the most. When Skip and Stephen A would go at it, or when Stephen A and Will Kane would go at it, or Skip and Shannon. I would like to see Shannon maybe pull something like that. Maybe not Club Shay Shay. I like the way he's got Club Shay Shay set up, but maybe bring his own little debate stage or debate show onto his YouTube channel, where you have Club Shay Shay debates or something. I don't know what you call it, but where you, instead of coming in and interviewing somebody, you bring in somebody who has an opposite opinion of you on a topic, and you guys actually debate it on your show, right? Have a real debate, not where your co-host is taking this side, so you have to take this point. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What if I don't agree with that? Well, it doesn't matter because your co-host is taking this side and he runs the show. Well, you don't have to do that. You find people who want to debate your topic, right, on the opposite side of you, and then you bring them on and debate them, right? And you can start with celebrities or whatever. It doesn't matter. Do what I'm trying to do, and have members come on and have discussions, for people who are members to your channel or your community or whatever, right? Like, that's what I'm trying to build with my locals community. Once I get 100 members, I'm going to start doing a members discussion podcast every Friday, where 2 members will get to come on the show and we discuss the topics that I had on the live streams and the videos I've put up over the week, and any other topics they want to talk about. And then we can have a discussion about those things. I would like to bring people on that maybe not always see eye to eye with me or agree with me 100%. And that way we have a real discussion instead of just, oh yeah, I agree with you on that, or yeah, I agree with you on that, right? And so that's where I'm trying to take it. I would love to see Shannon do something like that. That would be pretty righteous too. But at the end of the day, his Club Shay Shay podcast is more than enough. He puts that behind a paywall where you get clips, but if you want to watch the entire podcast from start to finish, you got to go on a paywall to watch it. He could definitely charge people $5-7 a month, and they would gladly go and pay that to watch full podcasts that he has, because some of the ones he's got on there now are just amazing. The Deion Sanders one is great. The Steve Harvey one is great. The Chad Ochocinco one, where Chad's like, I can play right now. I'm like, it's like, those were great discussions, right? And so for me, I don't know. I think Shannon's gonna be fine on his own, to be honest, because he was pulling in hundreds of thousands of views on his Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay podcast, whereas Skip was lucky to pull 10 or 11,000 views on his podcast. So now Skip's going to be fine. Undisputed is going to go on, and they're probably going to pull somebody in who just wants to be on TV and is willing to argue Skip and be Skip's punching bag. But will it be as good? I don't think so. I think Undisputed is going to lose viewership. It's going to fall in the ratings, and eventually Fox Sports may just do away with it. And Skip may have to go on and do his own thing on YouTube like the rest of us. But there's the possibility that Shannon Sharpe goes to ESPN. Stephen A has put feelers out there and said he'd be glad to bring him on as a rotating talking head on First Take. Now, I don't know if Shannon wants to do that. I mean, he could do that for a little bit of side money, every couple of weeks he'll go on there and discuss a topic or whatever, and then keep doing his Club Shay Shay podcast. But there's only so many celebrities and interesting people you can interview before you have to start really finding stuff to talk about. And so I want to see how he transitions that, because having the platform that you had on Fox Sports 1, you were able to reach millions of people, and be able to and get your opinions and thoughts put out there. Now you're still, at 1 point some odd million subscribers on YouTube, which you're still reaching quite a few people, but not like the platform you had on Fox Sports 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how you transition that into getting your message out there and your thoughts and opinions out there on certain topics without just doing an interview show. So I'm interested to see that. But at the end of the day, I think Shannon will be just fine. I think that Skip is going to be just fine. Undisputed, it's gonna slowly taper off, and pretty soon we probably won't see Undisputed on Fox Sports. And if we do, it won't be with Skip Bayless. It'll be with two fresh new hosts, and they'll try and revamp the show, because the show is good to have as competition for First Take. But you're going to need big name hitters to come on that show and do an actual good debate, right? Rob Parker is a good person that you might want to put on there. Maybe not with Skip, right? But I like Rob Parker. There's rumors that it may be Nick Wright, maybe Chris Broussard. I don't think Chris Broussard would do it with Skip, not on a full-time thing. You can't put Nick Wright on there because he's first things first. And I wouldn't want to see Nick Wright back to back, first things first, then Undisputed. That would bother me a little bit. What would be funny would be to watch him and Colin go at it for a little while. And maybe they do what they do at First Take and just bring a rotation of people in for Skip to go after, like they do for Stephen A. Who knows? Maybe that's what Skip was trying to push to. Or maybe Shannon was trying to push towards that, and Skip was being, stubborn and didn't want to do it, and that just caused more friction. You could definitely see there was a lot of friction between Shannon and Skip, and so the breakup was inevitable. We all saw it coming if you watch the show or even watch those clips. But at the end of the day, they're both going to be fine. They're going to be they're going to be better off than Robert Hansen, I'll tell you that. But that guy got what he deserved. And when I read that story and I started digging into Robert Hansen a little bit more, I was shocked at how this guy was able to get away with this. I mean, he was part of the discussions on who it could possibly be, who the mole in the intelligence community could possibly be. No one ever looked at the FBI. They were always looking at the CIA. No one ever looked at the FBI until one day they just came across this document that had his name on it. This Russian document had his name on it. And then it was like, oh my God, how could we have been so blind? But yet, you get a fake dossier from somebody and, let's go right to FISA and open up an investigation on a presidential campaign and then sitting president. But you couldn't find this guy for 10 years right under your nose. Really wonder how good the FBI has ever been in this country, right? These kinds of stories make you question that kind of stuff. Robert Hansen, 10 years he was a spy for the Russians in the FBI. Freaking went to church and was Opus Dei with the freaking director of the FBI. All the while selling secrets to the Russians. And now you can say all this because YouTube has reversed their policies on election misinformation and all of that. So Russians did interfere with the 2016 election. The 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump, and who knows what we'll see in 2024. It's all going to be interesting to watch unfold. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. If you like the video, if you like this live stream, make sure you smash that like button. Share the content with your friends. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube and Rumble. If you want more content, you want to be part of the community, you want to have open discussions with me about topics that I discuss here on YouTube and Rumble, on my live streams and in my videos, head on over to Locals, become a member, and let's start growing that community, because that's where I want to start getting to the interactions with my subscribers and my viewers. So head on over to Locals and become a member today. But like I said, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I'll catch you later. Peace.